Okay, well, good morning everyone and welcome to IBC's 2017 iMIS webinar series. Today's topic is engaging your membership with Process Automation Plus. Before we begin, I'd like to just take a moment to point out some housekeeping rules. All attendees will be muted during the presentation. However, we will open the floor throughout the presentation and ask some questions that we'd like you to place your responses in the chat window. We'd like to make this as interactive as possible. And we also will have some time dedicated at the end of the presentation to ask additional questions to our presenter. Today's presenter is Amanda Iverson. Amanda has been harnessing the power of iMIS for over 5 years in her role as IBC's project manager and senior application architect. Prior to IBC, Amanda spent 15 years in the association industry in a variety of roles, such as where you're sitting today. Amanda's skills and experience in the industry provide a unique perspective to successful iMIS design and recommendations for both the iMIS community as well as IBC's clients. So go ahead and let's take it over, Amanda.
Thank you, Jody. And a big thanks to everyone who was able to join us today for our webinar. We hope to make you feel good about technology and help you understand how to harness its power to automate your world and engage your members like never before. So let's dive right in. Today we'll learn about engaging your members in a different way by taking advantage of a major asset to your organization, your website. When combining the power of a website with the functionality and ease of iMIS, you can tailor the member experience and speak to their professional interest. Today you'll also gain insight on how to utilize process automation to support your strategic goals. We'll discuss several ideas to market and inform your members in a new way. You'll also see how to compete in today's ever-changing world of technology by pairing dynamic content and automated personalized emails, allowing you and your staff to focus on the organization's greater good. Let's first talk about engagement. This buzzword is more than just a recent trend. Organizations are realizing that you need to engage your members in order to keep your community thriving in the long run. Now, engage is a verb, which means it does require action. You need to constantly occupy, attract, and involve their interest and their attention. It's your organization's responsibility to stay on top of industry trends that impact your members and their livelihoods. You want members to participate in your organization, not only to provide value, but to watch your shared industry grow and expand long into the future. So first you need to consider, where is your organization spending its time and resources? Are you focused only on attracting new members? Or are you focused on retaining the current members you've earned with continued service and relevant benefits? Multiple studies have proven it's more consuming in dollars and staff time to attract new members than it is to keep your existing supporters. Now, that's not to say new members are not important to the growth of your organization. However, if your focus is not balanced between new member attrition and retention, you could be losing out on the value of long-standing members. Now, here's a recent study that reflects the imbalance all too common in today's associations. The majority of organizations surveyed spend their time and attention on new member acquisition. How about yours? So let's take a moment to consider your organization's strategic goals for 2017. Do you have a primary focus or a percentage of where your efforts are focused for this year? Enter your comments in the GoToMeeting chat window to share, and Jody will share some examples based on your responses.
Okay, it looks like we're getting a couple in here. We've got 80% attrition, 20% retention, 60% attrition, 40% retention, 65% on retention,
Oh, nice.
25%
Okay.
on attrition. Yeah.
Oh, great. So it seems like quite a few of you, there's a good balance between your attention and your attrition efforts. Now, for those of you that had a smaller percentage for retention, hopefully this presentation will give you some ideas that you can easily implement to increase the amount of effort without taking care of having your staff manually address those tasks. Now, in order to engage your members, you have to know them and know them well. Get comfy with your data. Know where your members are spending their non-dues dollars and learn which benefits they're taking advantage of most often. Listen when conversations occur. Every exchange is an opportunity to learn more about the members you serve. Pay attention at conferences, particularly the Reg Desk, and at committee meetings. Hear when members or drop members voice their opinions about your organization. See how non-members interact with your organization. What value do they find in your offerings? And survey why they aren't converting into members. You could also let iMIS do the analyzation for you with the engagement scoring module. Tally transactions and volunteer activities like never before. See your organization members from a bird's eye view and strategize with leaders to better understand how to engage loyal supporters. Join us on August 24th where we'll host another webinar focused on this module. A link to register will be provided at the end of this presentation and included in the follow-up email to all attendees. Okay, so how many of you just sighed in discontent looking at this screen? Now, real talk, how many of you have devices that look exactly like this or worse? So no one wants to be the popular kid, at least when it comes to notification and alerts. Keep this in mind as you begin to plan how to maximize process automation for your members. So let's discuss how to make getting started easy. Plan ahead. Let me just remind you of this screen and how inundating it is. So you want to consider that when you're putting together alerts. Determine whether you're licensed for Process Automation or Process Automation Plus, which we'll go over in just a moment. Starting out with a solid understanding of IQA will go a long way to making configuration a breeze. The more knowledge you have about your iMIS tables and the data you've collected, the more you can do to tailor alerts and emails. Know your way around RISE, particularly iPart configurations, shortcuts, and how to manage content records. We'll be using the Alert Display iPart located in the Utilities folder of your content item iPart library. If none of that just made sense to you, what I just said, spend some time on help.imis.com to learn more about RISE and managing content records. And once these skills are second nature, configuring alerts and emails can be done in your sleep. Okay. Full disclosure, I'm overselling. However, process automation does become easier to navigate when you have a solid foundation from which to start from. So let's take a moment to review how to determine whether you're licensed for Process Automation or Process Automation Plus. One quick way is if you have access to add a new task as shown here in the upper right corner. Of course, the most surefire method is to review your iMIS license key. For those of you who did not sign up for Process Automation Plus, there's still value to be gained. iMIS ships with over 3 dozen alerts and tasks, although a word of caution, these are configured as is and any edits will be overwritten on future upgrades. Now, if you plan to utilize out-of-the-box alerts, be sure to carefully review the underlying data source IQA queries to ensure it reflects your organization's business rules. And of course, for the most flexibility and control, Process Automation Plus is strongly recommended. Now let's discuss how to engage current members. First, it's important to review a centralized location to serve as a point of reference for your members. Having a one-stop shop for members will go a long way to providing the most service. By keeping everything in one location, you're training your members where to go when they have questions. And in today's age of immediate results, more and more members are looking to answer their own questions. Where do I go to reset my password? How do I get a copy of my receipt from last year's dues payment? Where do I go to update my contact information? Where do I go to renew, reprint my membership card? How do I know which journals I subscribe to? All of these questions and more can be answered by using a central content area to house these components. One area, as shown on the screen here, is referred to as My Account. Another area is referred to as the Member Homepage Landing Area. This serves as the homepage after a user logs in. For example, if configured accordingly, a user is redirected from your organization's homepage to the one displayed here simply by logging in. This is really great for members who frequently log into your website to access resources, engage in online community activity, or conduct volunteer business on behalf of your organization. This is also an ideal layout for those associations who regularly publish blog articles or news and announcements. So to get the idea generating juices flowing, think about the most common requests your staff receive on a regular basis. Think about how your staff spend their time manually handling tasks. Enter your comments in the chat window to share your thoughts. And as these responses are coming in, I'd like for you to consider if any of these requests can be replaced with automated alerts, tasks, or self-service iParts. These include IQA queries linked to SSRS reports to reprint invoices, receipts, membership cards, or certificates. And utilizing the login iPart can reset username and passwords easily. Or maybe you add some quick access buttons to the most requested resources on your website, maybe a quick access button to the membership directory or links to downloadable journals. So Jody's going to share a couple of comments that have come in.
Okay, so it looks like we've got some CEU certificates. Several people said password reset, receipts, meeting confirmations. Another one has receipts.
Wow. So hopefully those of you who responded, you're taking advantage of some of the iParts available to automate some of these processes. I know, for staff this can be manually time consuming, but if you, partner IQA queries with SSRS reports, users can go online and reprint their own certificates, whether they be membership cards or their certification certificates, easily from their My Account area. Simply create an IQA query that returns their certification results, link those results to an SSRS report that's designed as a layout of your certificate, and you've saved your staff the time of fulfilling that manually. So great responses, thank you. Now, one of the easiest and most overlooked ways to engage members is to simply thank them. It's a visual recognition of their support for your organization, including their name or informal name if you're utilizing that field in iMIS, is an easy way to get their attention. Included here is a bonus article from marketing powerhouse HubSpot that explains why using personalization is more effective in marketing and engaging your community. Now, while this presentation is more focused on generating ideas, let's take a quick peek under the hood to see how easy it is to get started. Of course, you always want to start with your IQA query to identify your current members and include fields that you want displayed in the personalized alert. These have to be included in your IQA configuration. We'll then configure and design the alert to be displayed, add it to an alert set, and then configure it on the My Account area. So here are some of the details you'll need to consider when starting on the IQA queries that serve as the data source for your alert or email. You will need to define who is eligible to see the alert or receive the automated message. It's important to know your organization's business rules before you begin. Now, if you're not the one providing statistics for membership, registration, certification, donors, etc., then it's key to involve these individuals in this process. They'll have a greater understanding of the tables and the membership data that determine your current membership and statistics. Always double check your filter criteria. While alerts won't be as alarming, pun intended, automating emails will certainly give a wrong impression if you're sending them to the wrong audience. It sends the total opposite message of what we're looking to do with engagement. So always double check. Using dynamic parameter values as shown here allows you to filter for information specific to the logged in member or email receipt. If you're not familiar with this feature, check out help.imis.com and search Developing Filters. There's helpful documentation that'll come up and also a video to help familiarize yourself with how this feature can be used. So now that we have a data source, we can focus on configuring our alert. Now, if you're not yet familiar with these windows and tabs displayed on the screen, I suggest you spend some time within the process automation module on the staff site. Poke around, check out existing alerts. Depending on your licensed product, though, be careful of making changes or saving versus closing after you play. The foundation for any alert is the original data source and related alert sets. You can add multiple alerts to an alert set so it displays in various scenarios without the need to manage separate alerts. Displaying personalized messages can be handled in two methods. You can enable the personalized message feature to display a separate message to the logged in member when they're viewing their own profile. And this is a great feature if the same alert will also be displayed on the staff site. So in this example, the personalized message will not display to the staff from the staff site, thereby saving precious content real estate. However, it will be displayed to the member when they log in to the member site. Now, for our example shown here, we're going to use the second method, which is by dynamically filtering within the IQA query and using display merge fields. For each alert display iPart added to a content record, you will need to select a related alert set to display. Any task assigned to an alert set will display for the logged in member if they are eligible. Otherwise, if they're included in your IQA query result set, they're eligible to see the message or receive the email. You can select multiple alerts to display within one content area. Remember this, people. When referencing multiple alert sets in one content area, be sure to consider how many alerts a logged-in member may be eligible for. This is just a friendly reminder that you want them to read the alert, not see so many that they ignore it altogether and keep scrolling. So here's where you get to design what the alert displays. You can be as fancy and creative as any HTML content design editor allows you to be. Now this is the same WYSIWYG editor available on other iParts and content records throughout iMIS. I've highlighted the field where you can insert merge data from your IQA query. This drop-down list shown here will include any fields added to the display tab of our underlying IQA query data source. And just as with most word processor softwares, you can select a field to merge their personalized data into the content or alert display. Now, as a reminder before we continue, here's another view of the end result of what we just configured. Easy peasy. And in the end, Ruth will feel recognized as a valued member the next time they log into your website. Another idea to consider is personalizing the dues payment receipt. Here's an example of the default order confirmation email template that ships with iMIS. Now, while it's great in layout, the detail included is generic by design, so it can be used to support various online transactions, including dues payments, registrations, donations, and even product purchases. But why not design an automated email using process automation that speaks directly to the value of what their dues payment supports? Include how their dues payment work for them and the organization throughout the year. Remind them of benefits and services they continue to have access to. Now, get really creative and design automated emails for specific member types. For example, imagine how great it would be for student or junior members to receive a personalized message that details important benefits, upcoming events, or even volunteer opportunities targeted for just where they are within their career. No need to decipher generic benefits to find what applies to them. Wrap what they need in a pretty email package delivered right to their anxious fingertips. Now, I'd like to take a brief moment to compare process automation to Task Center. Some of you may already utilize Task Center to handle your automated tasks. While this tool is still a viable option, process automation is quickly becoming the front runner. Its user-friendly and straightforward configuration are making it become a fan favorite. As shown here, Process Automation Plus is way more than just showing alerts and automating emails. You can automate a number of tasks, including triggered events. We'll provide you with quick access links at the end of this webinar to learn more about each of these action types. Another great advantage of process automation is how easy it is to access communication logs or track history and even access the original message. By referencing the communication logs, you can see the overall history of communication generated by process automation or the advanced email suite. You can drill down to identify exactly which members were included in the communication, and there's even a quick access link that redirects you to their account profile where you can view their history and pull up the original email to reference, resend, or download as a PDF. History is tracked by Task Center, however, quick access to which records were included and even the specific task details generated are not as readily available. Now, I included several ideas to further the engagement of current members. However, brainstorming with your talented colleagues and volunteers will, I'm sure, generate a long list of opportunities that you can consider for your own organization. Some ideas include recognizing members during their birthday month and displaying a personalized greeting. Track interest with an iMIS to display dynamic content and quick access links to important content on your website most relevant to the logged-in member. Another great idea is to display alerts in the header or sidebar areas of your website for a global impact. No way they're going to miss the message then. Now, this does require the knowledge of iMIS theme and template files, so work with your web administrator, designer, or reseller to learn more. Provide access to real-time dynamic list of chapter officers or committee members. Display contact information based on the member's affiliation for easy access to networking with their key volunteers. So now let's focus on new members. So new members are like newborn babies. They enter your world and they rely on you to help them succeed. It's your responsibility, rather your organization's mission, to provide what they need, feed them with industry resources, and listen when they cry. Engaging them early on will ensure they grow into a healthy, responsible, mature member of your organization, and you can keep them long beyond the first 18 years of life. Now, moving away from as many newborn jokes that I could squeeze in here, new members can provide great insight into your organization and its value. They are seeing your organization with fresh eyes and a clean slate experience. So set out the welcome mat when they arrive. Make it easy for them to access immediate benefits that drive home the value of their membership. In this example here, we're providing quick access to a list of member benefits so they don't need to fish for it on the website. Since a member directory is a great way to get them engaged in networking within their new home community, making reference to it here gives the organization visual attention while providing the member quick access. By defining different alerts based on a member's first year, you can really tailor these benefits over time. For example, you can promote the member directory in their first 3 months, maybe promote an insurance benefit from month 4 to 6, and then maybe promote an upcoming meeting that will happen prior to their first year renewal. Remind them they'll save with member discounted registration fees and provide a quick link to register online. Now, for your organization, what are some of the key benefits, features, or services that new members should take advantage of right away? Go ahead and enter your responses in the chat window to share.
Looks like we've got volunteer, member directory, community, being a part of a community or a committee, purchasing products, registering for an annual conference. That looks like that's about it for now.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jody. So these are all benefits that, while they can be found throughout the website, making it easy for them to access it when they log into their My Account area gives them that immediate visibility for those features that they're going to need most or will be most relevant to them at the time period that they joined. So thanks to those of you who shared. So using the same idea for alerts, you can roll out new member benefits with automated emails to share the value of your organization in tiny, bite-sized, digestible messages over time. For example, your marketing team, or you, if you are the marketing team, should have a calendar for new members. You should plan to communicate to new members every month or every few months to help orient them to your organization. Now that your newborn is walking and talking on their own, you still need to hold their hand in the first year and guide them to available resources, products, and benefits the organization provides. The more they know about what you offer, the greater the value they get from membership, which leads into our next idea to engage first-year members. Get their feedback. Provide a means by which their voice can be heard. This can be online or in person by hosting on-site focus groups or open town halls at your next conference. If your organization already works with a third-party survey company, you can provide quick access from the centralized member content area. Now, ideally, this would be offered 2 to 3 months before you send out the first renewal invoice to new members. So here's a thought to chew on. Consider capturing this information in iMIS. It's a database. So tracking survey results within iMIS allows you to hide this alert whenever a user provides a response. It lets you report on statistics from new member or renewing member experiences based on their feedback. You can even send targeted emails based on their survey responses to speak to their individual needs. For example, maybe somebody responded they just can't afford membership. If your organization offers a benefit for discounted fees in terms of special circumstances, you can follow up with these members individually and potentially retain them with the organization. You can also provide detailed information to key organization leaders to support your strategic goals or a change in direction based on member feedback. Here's a few additional ideas to get you started. So we've already talked about an email welcome series introducing benefits over time, but you can build on that and send targeted email messages for those first year renewals. Get them to engage more directly. The first year is going to be key in them continuing a long-term relationship with your organization. Now, another idea is to use alerts throughout the online join workflow before they become a member. This allows you to display previously selected values during the online join process for more information, just to keep it on top of everything of what they've signed up for and what benefits they're opting into. So now let's move to renewing members. The time frame leading up to and after renewal season is important. However, sometimes it can seem overwhelming to the renewing member. Don't wait until the last minute to inundate a member with reasons why your organization is valuable, and certainly don't rely on the dues renewal invoice itself to serve as the only reminder of benefits and resources available to them if they renew. Now, as with first-year members, create a marketing schedule, maybe 3 to 4 months before your renewal season to check in with them. Introduce new benefits or services being offered, or survey your renewing members to better understand their needs in the coming year. It also shows your organization is keeping up with industry trends and issues facing your target membership audience. As always, reminding renewing members of important deadlines will increase the volume of early payees. The alert message can change based on upcoming deadlines. For example, your notification may be marketed differently if they have 2 to 3 months to renew. You may want to display a more direct and impactful message if they're within 30 days. So here's another example of an alert displayed in the My Account area. Of course, after expiration, all bets are off. Play the sound of cowbells, ring the alarm, do whatever you need to get that member to click a Renew Now button and renew online. Why not design a series of emails to automate your renewal reminder process? Combine the power of process automation with the ease of HTML and CSS to deliver beautifully designed renewal emails intended to catch their eye, and hopefully a mouse click. Reminder emails can be scheduled to effortlessly nudge unpaid renewals up through their expiration date without your staff needing to do a thing. An example setup would include a combination of email communication templates to support the initial renewal invoice, maybe second or third reminders, and then ultimately a final reminder. You can use the same IQA query for the scheduled tasks to then send 90, 60, and 30 days prior to their paid through date. Just be sure to double check your IQA query filter to ensure those who have already paid will not be included in the results. So the motto for any fan of process automation is set it and forget it. How many hours is your team spending monthly or annually to generate renewal invoices or reminders? Enter your comments in the chat window to share.
Looks like we've got way too many to track. We've got a whole bunch, hundreds, 7 to 8 hours. So it looks like a lot of time is being spent on this.
Wow, quite a bit of time. Now, consider this. You can take 3 to 4 hours this year to set up a renewal schedule with process automation. Then you can configure the related components accordingly, your renewals and your emails. Invoices and reminders are automatically being generated to your renewing members, so initial setup aside, it happens without you lifting a finger beyond that first year. Now, I still recommend spending an hour or two each year updating the text just to make sure that your content stays fresh. But no more generating lists to merge, no more loading or updating target lists within mass email communication services. And you can even reuse the IQA queries to generate mailing lists for your in-house mailed invoices or to send to a mailhouse vendor for fulfillment. I guarantee if you aren't already taking advantage of email notifications before a mailed invoice, you'll certainly see a drop in mailing expenses when it comes time to send a printed renewal invoice. Most of your renewals would have already renewed online. So in your professional career, have you ever heard a member claim they never received that renewal reminder email? I can already see some of you shaking your head yes. Now you can more closely track what happens after an automated email leaves your Exchange server. iMIS Q4 versions include recent interactions available from the History tab on the staff site when viewing a contact or organization profile. You can expand the communication to see additional detail. Now, not that you would ever whip this out in front of the member, however, it does make it easy to resend a missed message. Here's just an example of that feature. Now, this is included with iMIS 2017 and does give you the ability to resend previous communications or download it as a PDF that you can send outside of iMIS or save for later. While the ideas for serving renewals with automated emails or alerts can seem limitless, quality, not quantity, is top priority. Knowing your renewing members will help determine which ideas are best suited for your organization or per member type. Schedule you or your team to spend 2 to 3 hours each month or year updating your alert text or email communication templates. Everything else is already in place to generate a streamlined, automated marketing system to reach your renewing members. The time saved from manual effort can be better used towards maybe identifying new benefits or services that your renewing members need to achieve their best. So sit back, kick your feet up, relax, and start thinking about other ways you can extend the power of process automation. Now let's focus on lapsed members, the forgotten community. Lapsed members matter. Marketing to lapsed members is still more efficient than trying to attract new members. You can remind lapsed members why they once found value in your organization. Pair alerts with reference to benefits they're missing out on or upcoming advantages of reinstating. Provide quick access to reinstate or rejoin online easily. Once you have their attention, keep it short and simple to return to your organization. Utilize the visual icon or an image to naturally draw their eye to the alert message. Shown here is an example that ships with iMIS. If you're feeling really creative, more so if you have the staff or time to do so, you can isolate user benefits by order purchases, registrations, donations, or even their volunteer activities to specifically speak to how they engaged with your organization previously. By any means necessary, grab their attention and remind them why they belong within your organization and what it means for your shared industries. Take advantage of timing and never let a lapsed member get left behind. Generate automated emails to lapsed members to continuously engage them in the short window following membership expiration. Included here is a bonus article from Informz about how one association engaged lapsed members and had a major return on their investment. They focused on the lapsed members they had available, and they won back 800 lapsed members in less than 2 months. So considering lapsed members you may or are currently marketing to, roughly how many potential members does that translate into? Do you have an idea of how many of those lapsed members continue to engage with your organization as volunteers or as non-member customers? Go ahead and enter how many lapsed members you believe you have available to your organization in the chat window. Let's get an idea of what kind of audience you may be able to market to.
Got 100, 2,000, no idea, 5,000 a month, 1,800, not
Wow.
sure.
That
looks like it's it.
Okay. For those of you that aren't sure, definitely creating an IQA query to identify who is a lapsed member and how many you have certainly could be a missed audience that you're losing out on. And for those of you that have thousands of members, hopefully you're continuing to market to them on a regular basis. If you wanted to further that detail, you could look at how they're interacting with the organization. They could be currently lapsed, but within an IQA query, you could identify if they've registered for a meeting, purchased products, made any donations, or participated if your bylaws allows that. You could market to those groups separately, remind them of the member discounts that they're missing out on by registering and not being a member. So certainly spend some time looking at who your lapsed members are and how they currently engage with your organization, and pair that with alerts and emails to get a better idea of why they're not rejoining. So just as we did with alerts, we're going to take a quick peek under the hood to look at the lapsed member email communication to see how this baby runs. So of course, you're going to always start with your IQA query. We're then going to configure and design an email template, which will be used to send to those included in our IQA query. And then we're going to schedule or trigger it as a task. And then as a follow-up, we'll review their history for tracking the recipients of our message. So always start with the IQA query that will source who is eligible to receive the automated email. The filter criteria of your IQA query will vary depending on how your organization defines a lapsed member. Again, if you're not a part of the membership department, I strongly recommend you partner with colleagues to define, at least in terms of the data, what constitutes a lapsed member in the database. Now, if your organization tracks terminated or deceased members, you may want to exclude those types from the IQA query to ensure there is no overlap. And in this example, terminated members might be those who are asked to leave the organization or who don't align with your organization's missions and values, those that you would not want to market to and have them return to your association. Because this IQA query is used within an email, you won't need dynamic filter criteria. When you're finished with the query, run it so that you can view those lapsed members in your results. Spot check several examples in the desktop client or on the staff site to verify their eligibility as a lapsed member. Also consider the message you plan to send. Will the email include a link to reinstate online? Are you going to instruct the lapsed member to rejoin the organization? Now, your method to communicate to lapsed members and make it easy for them to return will depend on the condition of your organization's data. Is it a business rule to keep dues billing line items on lapsed member records? Do you have an existing online join workflow that supports rejoining members? So these are just a few thoughts that you want to consider as you begin to plan to send to your lapsed members. For process automation emails, you need to draft a communication template that will be used by the scheduled task. Now, a set of sample templates can be found on the staff site within the marketing module. So here's an example of a brief message to lapsed members, ideal to send shortly after a non-renewing member has just been suspended. Now, note the ability to attach a PDF or an SSRS report document. Make it a no-brainer by attaching a dynamic SSRS report invoice for their reinstatement. Of course, a static PDF file can be used as well. In our example today, I chose to attach a PDF flyer of key member benefits they're sure to miss out on by not returning to the organization. Now, be sure to update the recipients of your email communication template to include the IQA query you just created to recognize lapsed members. We want to be sure to only send this message to people who qualify as a lapsed member. So let's take a look at the process automation task setup. For automated emails, instead of an alert type, we're going to use a scheduled task. For this example, we're going to send it every Wednesday morning each week at 11:15 a.m. A scheduled task allows you the flexibility to schedule or generate results based on a triggered action. For example, if you wanted to send an email immediately after a lapsed member registers for an upcoming meeting or purchases a product, you can trigger an email to be sent which reminds them of member savings they just missed out on by not reinstating. So as I mentioned, our example today, we're going to schedule them for every Tuesday morning forever until they reinstate. Just kidding, just kidding. But you will want to be mindful of your follow-up messages that they're not leaving a bad impression of your organization. As members return each week, they will be dropped off from your IQA query and won't be included in the following week's email message. But if a lapsed member opts not to reinstate, they can always further support your organization with registration, donations, or product purchases. Depending on your bylaws or your business rules, you may be able to engage them as volunteers or even as a non-member. Remember, it's about furthering your organization's mission, not always the bottom line. And who knows? Continued participation may remind them of the love they once had and rekindle some interest in reinstating after all. Once you've scheduled your task, you can configure the remaining details that marry the IQA query data source with the email communication template you created. Within the details of each process automation task, you will find a history log that provides detailed information about each run of that specific task. So let's plan a few more ideas to engage anyone who conducts business with your organization. So you could target to past attendees. You could customize your event registration confirmations. You can recognize committee or chapter leaders and even personalize the dashboard when they log in so they have immediate access to rosters and reports with real-time information. You can also include access to post-purchase product information. Now, iMIS does offer a feature that presents a link that they can access this information, but placing it in one location on your website gives them access so they don't have to remember where that email is and they know exactly where to go to find that. And never stop marketing. If they find value in attending meetings, getting certified, or donating, they are communicating the need for your organization. So always look for opportunities to convert your non-member customers or re-engage your lapsed members. A few more ideas would be to send certificates for your newly certified or recertified applicants. You can also pair that with alerts to send reminders that they're coming up for recertification based on their expiration date and include links or bullet points about what they need to recertify. You can generate automated reports to key volunteer leaders. Maybe give them membership statistics or donor dollars and top donors or even registration counts in their inbox on a regular basis. The possibilities really are endless. So hopefully today you've heard something that you're able to use within your organization to further your mission and purpose. So thanks to those of you who have been patiently waiting for questions, we'll now address any of those questions in the remaining time we have available. Go ahead and enter those questions in the GoToMeeting chat window and Jody will facilitate our conversation.
What does the green plus bar mean on the staff site window?
Good question. So you'll notice a tiny green plus that displays next to process automation on the left side navigation when you're logged onto the staff site. That's an indication that you have process automation plus as a licensed module. Now I am aware that there were some earlier versions of the Q4 iMIS version that would display that, but inconsistently. So you may see that green plus, but it's not a surefire indication that you're licensed for that product. So you will want to check your iMIS products key to see if you have the ADV task product as a licensed option. But good question.
The next question is, can you include a max number of alerts being displayed?
So somebody's thinking of the horrific screen with all of the notifications. So unfortunately, the iPart does not have a configuration that lets you identify a max number of alerts. So when you're going through the planning mode and you're creating alerts or alert sets, you will want to be mindful of which members could potentially be eligible for multiple alert sets, as there's no other way to manage that. There is, however, if there's an option to hide a message, or you can display a message if no alerts will display to that user. So for example, if I log in and there's a particular area that alerts would otherwise display, if you want to train me as the logged in user to always visually look in that area, you can display a message that says no important announcements are available at this time. So at least you're triggering me to realize that that's where you're going to display important announcements that relate directly to me. But good question.
Thank you. The next question is, can you trigger certificates or membership cards?
Yes, absolutely. So this, again, the possibilities of what you can configure really are in your hands. So you could trigger a process automation email that will automatically have an SSRS report attached. That could be an SSRS report of a certification, a certificate, or a certificate of their membership, or the layout of a membership card. That can be added whenever you define a member has become an official new member of your organization. Maybe it's when the dues payment has been applied, or a join date has added, or a record type has changed. You can trigger a task to send an email once that data has been updated so that it will send it automatically and it'll be right in their inbox and available for them to use. You can also pair that with alerts, so that way you can recognize those new members and include a link for where they can go in the My Account area to reprint that information if they need to, or maybe somebody who's newly certified or recertified. So really good questions, really good uses of process automation.
Thank you. Another question dealt with reports, but it looks like you just talked about that as well. And it looks like that's it. I'm not seeing any more.
Great, okay. Yeah, the use for reports to be automated really is endless. When you consider reports that your staff may need or that they request of you on a regular basis, maybe your volunteer or chapter leaders, you know, when you want to automate some of those reports and schedule them on a daily or weekly, monthly, even an annual basis, it really does save your staff or you quite a bit of time by setting those up, and gives you time to focus on other things that may be more vital to your role. All right, well, really good dialogue. We thank all of you for your questions. So we're going to go ahead and talk about next steps. Just to close out the process automation discussion, first, know what you're working with. Check to see if you have process automation or if you have process automation plus. You should also make time to review the available resources provided by ASI, which these links shown here will be included in our follow-up email to you. And we'll also share a link to our YouTube channel where a recording of this webinar will be made available. Feel free to share it with colleagues who would benefit from the information we've shared today. And contact your iMIS reseller. They can certainly help to support you in any of these efforts and help educate you on what process automation can do for you and your specific business needs. And if you don't have an iMIS reseller, call me. Or you can send an email to sales@ibconcepts.com to start a conversation. Let's talk about what we can do to make you feel good about technology and how you can use it towards your organization's advantage. Now, while we have you, I want to promote a save the date. If you enjoyed the information provided in this webinar, be sure to pencil us in for Thursday, August 24th to learn about engagement scoring and how you can grow engagement through your existing membership base. Jody will be adding the registration link to the follow-up email, so you'll simply need to click and register once you receive that. If you have any future webinars that you want created for specific topics, send an email to myself at aiverson@ibconcepts.com or send it to sales@ibconcepts.com for configuration. With that, I thank you for your time, and I'll turn the controls back over to Jody to close us out.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you everyone so much for joining IBC today. As Amanda mentioned, we will be following up with an email that will give you the recorded webinar, the survey, some information about our upcoming webinar. And we'd appreciate if you would take a few moments to fill out the survey, because we're always looking to improve the value for future webinars. Hope everyone has a great day and a happy 4th of July weekend.